Hi, Greg.
Good
Hello there.
evening.
Chuck, hello.
Paul.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Chuck.
how's it going?
Here we go.
If I can do this. Amazing.
Yeah, you're amazing, Dick.
No, amazing I can figure this out here.
When I walk away, you can take off the.
Oh, he's looking for something.
You can mute yourself.
We'll give everybody a couple minutes to get connected, and then we'll, Joel, I think you're first on the list today, right?
All right, we'll give it a shot. Zoom meetings, this is just like work.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I do all day. After I do it on WebEx all day, I rarely Zoom.
My office is only now starting to repopulate,
Yeah.
and the work from home thing has been so successful that
Yeah.
they're expecting 40% of our employees to stay working from home.
That's
And I'm
great.
I'm kind of in that camp. I can get a lot more done without
Yeah,
those.
well, I've been selling WebEx since the early 2000s. And so it's been interesting. And, you know, WebEx kind of missed this opportunity. They've been usurped by Zoom because of the ease of use. But it's been interesting to watch that happen. I don't sell anything anymore now. I just tell everybody what to do. But I used to sell it. So, all right. Well, I think we're probably we probably got a quorum here. So why don't we get started? Joel, you're first, and then
Only seeing a couple people's video.
What's that?
I see. Paul, I see 15.
Yep.
17, 18. 17.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
A couple videos, I see blank screens, but
Maybe somebody forgot to turn on the camera. Do we want to go ahead and get started?
Yeah, I'd say go ahead and get started, Joel.
I know the clock's running.
That's right.
Ron said 20 minutes. Yeah, I don't think I've got 20 minutes, so we're probably not going to push a time limit.
Oh, good.
I thought I'd introduce myself. My name is Joel Payard. I met Ron through a common friend, Bob Bender. I don't know how many of you guys have known him. Certainly, most of you guys I haven't met. And
Hold
You're
on there, Joel.
muted.
That was my fault. Sorry, Joel. There
All
we
right.
go.
All right, good. Thank you. I was just going to say I haven't met most of you guys. I appreciate being involved in the group. I'm about a month behind reading the emails because there's so much information out there. I model I'm in HO, and my interest is the Pennsylvania Railroad, the former Grand Rapids and Indiana branch that ran from roughly Fort Wayne, Indiana, up to the Straits of Mackinac in Michigan. I became interested in that. Just so happens that the family Centennial Farm on my mother's side is in a small town north of Cadillac called Manton, and the railroad goes right through the property. So growing up, I got to see, I was a little late rail fanning to see the Pennsy in action, but I saw Penn Central such as it was, and then there was a short line for many years after that, and now it's still in operation with a short line, I think, called Lake States. That's how I got interested in the GR&I and the history of it and the Pennsy, and that's where I'm at. As far as model building, I've got a nice basement area that I'm finishing out. It's a very large space. I'll be lucky to be able to put enough railroad in it to make it usable. But right now I'm really only working on an old plywood and Pacific that I've been carrying along with me for 30 years, using it as a test bed. just last year, I converted it to DCC, for example. So that's just me in a nutshell, and I appreciate being here. I sent a couple of pictures to Ron, just kind of what I've been working on during the quarantine. I didn't think that they kind of rose to the level of what all you guys were doing, but he said, bring it on. So first of all, I've got a butcher shop kit that I built. I found it either at Hobby Recycling in Grand Rapids or at a train show. It's built by some obscure company called Dynamodels, and I thought, man, I'd found a diamond in the rough. Surely nobody else had ever heard of this company. And then the email threads got into the meat packing industry. And not only does Ron have that kit, there's a meat packing house that goes along with it. In Ron's pictures, the kit comes with essentially a complete interior. I didn't put the complete interior in place. My focus was to make it presentable, being viewed from the layout from the outside. So just I don't know how well the lighting holds up.
Oh, yeah.
Made my own graphics. For example, the sign in the window, I found something on the internet that I tried to manipulate in Photoshop and couldn't, so I basically recreated the sign. Some vintage signage on the side. If you look very closely, Kilroy was here. Vintage signs, window treatment, and the building is only lightly weathered. And this is how complete I chose to do the interior. Ron's is a piece of art. This I have to say was intended just to be viewed from a layout position to be able to get the impression that there was a full interior. So that was the first thing I finished up during the quarantine. Another thing, next one I want to bring up, hope I'm doing okay on time. Bob is a member of this group. I don't see him in video here. I've known him for a number of years through the Grand Rapids and Indiana Railroad Historical Society. At one of our meetings a number of years ago, he mentioned pickles. And a pickle book had just come out, and he recommended I pick it up, which I did, and I was floored. It's probably not news to you guys. You guys have seen this book before. I had no idea the scope of the pickle industry back in the day, and that Michigan was top of the heap for a number of years. So then I dug a little deeper, and there were pickle stations up and down the GRNI for years, including one in Manton. Manton is a small town that I intend to include on the layout. So that meant I needed to start working on pickle stations and collecting freight cars, pickle freight cars. So I did a little research and found an article in the January 1961 Model Railroader about how to scratch build a pickle station. And so I followed that article as much as I could. A lot of difference in materials between then and now. They were all, that was all basswood and paper. This is a combination of basswood and styrene. And this is nearly complete, only partially weathered. I don't know how much of that's carrying over in my camera view. The main pickle barrels started with PVC plumbing that's wrapped in scribed wood. Sorry, struggling with the terms. And I think I achieved the goals. I notice as I look at it, especially look up close, that I can see the mistakes, that there's some posts that are a little crooked underneath the deck, if you can tell. And my first inclination is to fix that. And then I started looking at some of the prototype pictures of the old pickle stations in the book. And those were haphazardly built. No two boards were parallel to each other. So I may just leave them the way they are to imply some age. I don't know how well that came through. I think considering the way I started with the pickle tubs, that came out pretty well. It's fairly convincing. The last thing I wanted to bring up, I raised my family at a church out in the country, a little west of here, a town called Lawrence, a little church called East Arlington Baptist. And because I'd always for years considered the fact that I would probably scratch build that someday, and because it would be a complete scratch build project, it kind of languished. And then I stumbled along on eBay and found a Campbell scale models kit of a church, and started looking at the shape of that model and the lines, and it was fairly close to the East Arlington form. Greg, I'm going to try to share out this screen. It says that it's disabled participant screen sharing. There we go. Thank you. So that's the Campbell Scale Models Church. I eventually, after completing this project, I actually put an article together, and it was printed in the NCR Division 9 newsletter a couple of years ago. So I started with that kit. Can you, number of things.
I'm not seeing your screen,
Whoop,
Joel.
let's see.
I've got everybody else muted.
Should be screen 1 right there. Oh, I highlighted it and then didn't push the share button.
There we go.
And it helps when you follow the instructions. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's right.
You guys have this Campbell scale kit's been out for years. I got to looking at that, and then the lines and shape of it were fairly convincing, fairly close to the way East Arlington looked back in the early 50s. It looks a lot different now. Picked up the kit. I found it on eBay. Picked up the kit and started researching pictures. And the only pictures from the era that I could find were pictures from the front. This edition was added in the 50s, but that's what it looks currently. I thought I had another picture. There we go. That's another lower angle view of the front from a little bit earlier, before the addition was put on the left side there. The thing that really kicked this project into gear is that the church sanctuary was renovated a few years ago, and for some reason, I won't say that she's the pack rat, but for some reason, my wife grabbed a couple of the old window frames that were replaced in a church reconstruction project, a remodeling project, and kept them for crafts projects around here, and I happened to have them in the garage. So I thought that the windows needed to be pretty convincing, and I happened to find, I think it was Details Associates, no, Grantline, had windows that were an almost absolute match. So that kicked the project into gear. That's the way the church looks now. What I wanted to get across is that the things that were difficult in converting the Campbell kit to this was the shape of, sorry, I'm scrolling through this too fast, the shape of the steeple and the belfry. I ended up having to freehand those, taking measurements off of the two pictures that I had at my fingertips. Built a form out of styrene shapes and covered it with very thin styrene. The steeple was like a witch's hat shape. I had to mock that up and built it up in a similar fashion. I used a graphics package to recreate the sign. Excuse me, that's the meeting sign. Then there's a Jesus Save sign on the front. It was in relief on the front of the building. And here's a couple of pictures of the completed effort. If you compare it to the early shots, it came out fairly convincing. It's definitely not a scale model, but it's pretty convincing. I think the steeple came out very well. That's an example of one of the windows I was talking about. I used the kit's bell. That was convincing enough. Mocked up the front end of the front door and porch. That's the sign that I made. Those pictures probably are more easier to see, but this is the kit as it stands. It's only lightly weathered. The roof is weathered enough to be convincing, but I didn't really want to distress the sides of the building very much. Oop, moving out of my camera field, sorry. I thought quite a bit of accomplishment for being able to complete that and to come up with the shape of that steeple area and the belfry. So, hope I didn't bore you too much. That's all I had, and I think I definitely got in under the 20-minute limit.
Is that the Bible Baptist Church in Lawrence?
It's called East Arlington Baptist. It's about 4 miles north of town.
Okay,
Really, it's in the intersection of two country roads. It really is out there.
yeah, I was looking it up because I was lost out there one time, and I remember seeing that church.
Mhm.
But I thought, well, I can't say I'll be damned. That would not be right.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, there you go. They're still a strong congregation. They've modernized the building and added 2 or 3 different additions onto it.
Yeah.
So finding pictures that I could use to find the way it looked in the 50s was difficult, but they had an old centennial book that they had published themselves. And I was able
Now,
to pull some
did
pictures on
did
that.
they keep the bell? Was the bell in the court in the yard or something? I remember.
Mm.
I'm trying to look here.
Yeah, as far as I know, the bell's still in the steeple, but they had the steeple didn't weather well over the 80 or 90 years of its construction.
Okay.
They had to replace the steeple.
Joel, this is Dave Nelson. My friend Dave Leiter, who wrote that book on the pickle business, has also written a fascinating book about the town of Waupaca, which is about his layout is centered there. But I think he's readying one on the potato business.
Okay.
He's written about 6 or 7 books. He's the editor of the Midwest Region's newsletter,
Okay.
and he gives a tremendous clinic on pickles. Unfortunately, he and his wife are about to move to Florida, so we may not have any chances to hear his clinics anymore. But keep an eye out for this potato book, because I've sat through his potato clinic, and it's just as compelling as the pickle book. As hard as that may be to believe for people who haven't read the book.
Yeah. This is a tremendous collection of information, and I'd be interested in the the potato business as well, because that was well represented on the line. I forgot to mention, as we're talking about this group, all the commentary that you guys are talking about in the Midwest. Not only did I learn a lot, but it fit into what I was thinking and what I'm going to be modeling, because I'm going to be concentrating in the more rural areas north of Grand Rapids. So much of the information you guys presented has filed away for me to use in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, I managed to unmute everybody except myself earlier, so nice job, Joel.
Thank
And
you. I
anybody,
appreciate it.
the only people who are still muted have muted themselves, I think. And so, so you'll have to unmute yourself, and then and ask any questions, or if there's any further discussion. But yeah, that was really great.
Thank you. Dave Leiter's also, isn't he president of the Sioux Line Historical Group? He has been president and has been editor of their magazine. Whether he is right now or not, right. I know he's always at their booth at train shows. And he's a master model railroader, NMRA master model railroader.
That may be the.
He does a great job.
I believe that Bob Oom said that he knew the author, and he provided a little bit of information about local pickle businesses to the author, and I think that's how it got to the point where he was bringing it up to our little group.
Well, Joel, you did such a good job on that church. You can build yourself about 7 Sunshine pickle cars now.
There you go. Yeah, still looking for them.
Good luck, because you don't want to find them.
It's like Westerfield, right?
Oh, with Sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah, they were the cylindrical cars.
Okay.
They're impossible to build practically.
All right.
Ron's got a couple of those on his layout, I think.
you build a couple, Ron?
Ron's muted.
Oh, good. That's perfect.
Ron might have the old Ambroid kit. Is that the same one, Clark? Same kit?
No, I don't know. I just know that the Sunshine one, I've seen some built. They're beautiful cars, but I've heard they're almost impossible to build. Even Martin Laughlin wouldn't build one.
Yeah, let me see if I'm muted. I'm unmuted. There you go. No, I don't have the Sunshine built. I do have one. They're the Ambroid kit that I have. And the Pickle Works was by Jack Works. And years ago, I also have that magazine. And it is probably what I used to start building my Pickle Works too.
It was amazing when I was a kid there in Marshalltown. There was a Pickle Works basically just about a block from where I lived and never knew it.
Yeah. So I
think I have pictures of it.
Yeah, I understand that because my aunt lived about a block away. So we got to figure out exactly where my aunt lived and as far as your grandmother lived.
Okay. Well, we lived just next house to my grandparents. They lived on South 3rd Avenue, just right up from the Great Western there in Nevada.
Yeah, okay.
Between Nevada and Church Street, I think.
Yeah, she lived right, her backyard was on the Great Western, and about 3 doors down was the viaduct and a little tavern.
Well, there were taverns, yeah. But yeah, so which side of the viaduct, the east or the west?
East side.
Yeah, see, we lived on the west side.
Yeah, well, close.
Yeah. Okay, I'll mute myself again. Enough of
I
that.
guess we're ready for the next one, right?
Yeah, Dick, you're on.
Dick fell asleep.
Okay. Well, I
Dick.
didn't mean to hog the program. I mean,
Now, give me 1
Yes?
second here. I'm going to mute everybody, and then I'll unmute you, and then you can get started. So mute all.
okay. Okay.
I think we're good.
All right, very good. Well, for those of you who know me, I still haven't had a haircut since February 16th. So it'll only be when I go to Michigan and see the daughter who has the cosmetologist license. So that'll be it. Okay. All right. Well, I didn't mean to hog the program last week and or this week, but I thought I'd maybe give you a little bit of a tour of the rest of the layout. I have at least 2 Emmons St. L experts in the audience, so they'll be able to correct me when I make an error, and they'll notice where all the Fubi track is located. So we're ready for that. Well, let me put the screen on here so we're going the other direction. Switch camera. A nice shot of the expansion line in the basement. Okay. Somebody was looking at their workbenches the other day or posted something. Look at there. Okay. Well, I don't know how familiar you are with the Minneapolis and St. Louis, but basically in Iowa, there's almost 3 vertical lines going through. Here's the line out of, well, here's the main line out of Peoria coming across to Oskaloosa and then up, and that's the line that goes through Mason City. Then over here, there's a line down here out of, the line out of Oskaloosa goes over here to Des Moines and up this way to Fort Dodge. But then there's a line from Fort Dodge, goes back over to Albert Lee, and there's another one here. So in a sense, you've got 3 separate lines here, here, and here crossing the Milwaukee Road. And I've tried to represent all 3 of those. So we'll go on over here and buzz around. And John Hansky was a great help. He came by today. He said, Dick, let's check out your internet. And he discovered it's crummy. But if I would stay out of the way of the camera or the computer, I'd probably be all right. Can you hear me or see me? Can you hear anything?
Yeah, you're doing great. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would be nice if you could share your screen, because all we see is the little thumbnail.
Oh, okay. So what do I do? Just,
If you put your, go to the speaker view instead of the gallery view, and then you'll see his camera in the majority of the screen.
yeah, you're gonna have to.
Me go to speaker view?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
I
what.
see it.
Up in the right-hand corner, you'll see you can
Yep.
go to gallery view or speaker view.
Yep, I got it. Okay, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Now, what about the rest of you? Are seeing the whole thing or just a little thumbnail?
It's great.
You're
It's
good.
Oh, I thought I had to do something and I don't have any clue what to do. All right. Okay.
You're good.
Anyway, so all right, we're staging starts at the one lines. The main line here basically starts at Ackley. For the MN experts, ignore the track that's elevated. Okay. Ackley is here. There are 2 trains ready to go on the MN staging. We're going to head this way and going to come here. Here's my little passenger shelter that I built. Nothing to rival what some of you have posted, but I actually built one. So it's called State because it is a Fubi. Okay. So what we have here next running here is the trolley. Here's the Emmons St. L crossing. And then off of the trolley then is the State Brand Creamery. As we continue, the Emmons St. L comes around here. And this whole peninsula was added. It wasn't in the original layout. It has some tight radius. The minimum radius on most of the layout or on the layout is 30 inches. But the original layout ended right here where the notebook is located, okay? So one of my friends said, well, why don't we go and extend this thing? So we did. Well, anyway, Clark, you'll recognize a little bit of this. Trackage of the Emmons St. L coming into Mason City now, coming down here. Here's that interchange where you have the south yard. You have the tracks or the 2 interchange tracks and the storage tracks for the Emmons St. L. And down here is the trolley interchange with the Milwaukee. And back up there are the Albert Lee 1 and 2 tracks. The scale interchange now here with the Milwaukee and the Emmons St. L. The car repair shops, you might recognize that car repair building. Thank you, Clark. And here is the X that Clark talked about. Right there, the Milwaukee's coming through and crosses the Emmons St. L at this point. The Emmons St. L is going to continue along here. And unfortunately, because of the helix, I had to put Allied Mills at this end rather than at the west end. So this trackage is for Allied Mills. And there is the diamond for the track going up to Austin for the Milwaukee Road. So there's a couple of crossings there. We continue on. You saw this Milwaukee Road trackage last time.
Yeah, we lost Dick now, right?
Yeah, he'll come back on once he gets to a different part of the basement.
And we have off.
Did he just disappear entirely?
Yeah, I think he did. I don't see him on here anymore.
I don't even see a blank screen.
No, I think he's disconnected. So he'll probably connect back up here in a little bit.
when we tested it this afternoon, whenever his body would get in between where he's at, it would blank out.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi router is on the complete other end of the house and upstairs. So
Okay.
I asked him if he could move it to the middle, and I think he will eventually.
Mm-hmm. Now let's see. Here he comes. Maybe. No.
Yeah, I had trouble with the Wi-Fi, so I put in one of those boosters,
Yeah.
and that helped quite a bit.
I switched over to Google Wi-Fi, which is a mesh, and I've got three of the repeaters or whatever they're called in the house, and I haven't had any problems since. So I've got one right here in the basement next to my layout.
With Dick on top of the Wi-Fi being so far away, his cable signal, should be a 5. It's sitting there about 0.7.
Yeah.
It's not very strong there.
If you read his summary that I sent out today, he calls it previous century link or something like that. It's kind of funny.
Apparently, another company bought that area just to get Columbia City, and they don't really care about where he lives.
Yeah, that's the problem.
If you have an iPad, can you turn it around so that the iPad I have will show me, but it will not show anything else? Is that possible?
There he is.
Well, I got John was here today, and there is where I was is the farthest from the internet. It's not what do you call the thing?
The router. The Wi-Fi router, Dick.
Okay, well, we had it this afternoon. We lost it here. Well, let me try to go that way. I'll stay out of the way of it. And
Yeah, we've lost Dick again. Yeah, like you, Greg, I put a range extender in my railroad building.
Did you?
Yeah. Works great.
Yeah.
I've got
send me a
mine
note as to what it is.
actually covers the whole house. Pretty good, actually.
What it is, because electronics idiot. Okay.
Yeah, I think we lost.
While nothing is happening, I can inform those of you who might be interested that Train Fest in Milwaukee is canceled this year.
I saw that. Yeah, that's too bad.
Actually, I hadn't seen it, but I was kind of looking forward to maybe going.
I got a question. Next week, I think we've got it figured out for Bob and Clark, but the week after that is pretty open, and this seems to work pretty good. People like, at least 16 or so of us like it. We need to have somebody for the following week. The other day, I took Chuck Hart over to John Nye's layout, and I will try to get that put together, and it'll have to be done on some kind of a picture deal, which I'll probably send to Greg, and then hopefully we can get John to comment on it.
Yeah, that sounds good. So anybody interested in that, don't feel free to send me the pictures. Bob sent me somewhere around 50 pictures over the last 2 days, and I put them all into a PowerPoint. It took me 10 minutes or something. It's a piece of cake, and I sent it back to him, and he's happy with it. So more than happy to do that if that's a good option for you guys. So
Richard is back, but he's muted.
Yeah, I think he's muted himself.
Hey, Dick, unmute yourself.
I did.
There we go.
There we go.
Well, I apologize. I'm not going to be able to send that picture. Whoever contributed and said that they have some way of extending that internet pickup, let me know what it is and I'll go get it. And, well, didn't someone, Chuck, did you say you have something?
Yeah.
Chuck has something out in this building?
Yeah, I have a router in the house, and I put a range extender in the building. For those that have been over here, you know my building is probably about a good almost 100 feet from the house. Works great.
Yeah.
And then for the railroad, I also have a separate router in the building for using the railroad on JMRI and iPhone or Android throttles. So,
Well, if you can specifically send me what that range extender is.
yeah, it was reasonably priced and got it over at Best Buy, I think.
The only comment, I would have a comment for you though. You got to figure out how to do the password.
Actually, it was very simple.
Maybe for you.
Right.
The WPA button, you bring the router in, you connect it to, the range extender, you connect it by wire to your router, one of the ports. You hit the WPA button, both units, and it transfers the information right over in about, 10 seconds.
Nice.
And then take your range extender and put it wherever you want it. So.
But it's hardwired to the router?
Only during the programming portion. Takes less than a minute.
Oh, okay. So I can still do that upstairs, not have to drill holes.
No, you don't have to do anything. And I think it even came with a little short cable to do the software transfer.
Well, again, I was, for those of you who are computer literate, this all sounds extremely easy. And who was it just made the comment about PowerPoint? That's when I retired. We're going to do this all on PowerPoint. Yes, maybe for you it works, but
Dick, in exchange for that 9/16 socket, I'll come over and help you.
Thank you.
I had a little problem with my muffler in my Corvette backing out of Dick's driveway, and a 9/16 socket was what was required.
All right. Well.
And I knew where it was.
Yeah.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, right?
Okay, thank you. Well, I apologize again. For some reason, it's just not working over there. So,
2-minute warning, guys.
Appreciate
2-minute warning.
On Saturday, John is going to have a 11 o'clock. We're talking about JMRI, and if anybody is interested who is not a NMRA member or would like to get into it, I'm sure we can send you some way to get onto that Zoom.
It's a week from Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah.
week.
And Chuck, I will be sending. Well, Chuck's gone, but I'll be sending him the PowerPoint for it.
No, Chuck's still there.
Yeah, well, I'm back. Yeah, send it over, John. We'll take a look at it, and if you're not comfortable doing it from your house, we can do it from my railroad building. So.
All right, we're within a minute of being shut down, just so everybody knows. So appreciate everybody getting on, and we will reconvene in a week, and look forward to the 20th with John's presentation as well. So
Hey, guys, it was good seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Johnny B, hi.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Cool.
All
All right,
everybody.
have a good one.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.